Hi Russell, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you for doing this conversation with me, which is the first social media thing that you're going to be in regarding JunkPunk.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I think we'll just get cracking and we'll introduce you first to the community. I'm going to pass it straight over to you, mate, and you can just introduce yourself and tell people who you are because you're going to be working on JunkPunk now for the foreseeable future. So I'll push it over to you, man.
Okay. Well, hi everyone. My name is Russell, and I am a junior game designer. I recently graduated from Bournemouth University, and I'm a new employee at SCT. I have been playtesting and experiencing JunkPunk a bit in my time here so far at SCT, and I am working to add some new content for the community and take steps towards hopefully bringing the game out of early access.
Awesome. Yeah, so basically, Russell's coming on board now to help take some work away from me because, as you all know, I'm working on a lot of projects. I do a lot of stuff, and everyone that's watched previous videos, you guys know that the amount of work I do is just crazy. So I'm gonna be basically training Russell up and showing him how JunkPunk works, and eventually also for all of you out there that have Gunsmith, he'll be working on that too. But as I'm working on the game, Russell's going to be working on the game, and we're just going to be going back and forth. And what I'm hoping is we can get more content out to everyone at a quicker pace now because the company has grown and we're doing more things. And ultimately, we want to try and keep the pace up, and we know that the pace of production slowed over the Christmas period and into January. And I think as the business has grown as well, we need to adapt how we basically continue to be a strong company. And the sooner rather than later, I thought that I should probably get more help in my department to speed up the production of our early access titles, and that's why um, I've got Russell here to help. So I thought what we'll do is we'll talk about where we are with JunkPunk, what Russell's thoughts are, because I have thrust Russell into the game over the last 2 days to just play it blind and see what he thinks. He's also been talking to, is it a few or just one person in our community, Russell?
I've messaged a couple of people.
A couple
Yeah.
of people, yeah. We've been speaking to a couple of people in the community and just getting another list about, based on all the things we want to improve and all the things we want to do to JunkPunk. And I think it's important from my perspective, before I pass it back to Russell, is just to explain one of the reasons why we have slowed down the pace of production on JP and also Gunsmith. Um, so we had community feedback for Gunsmith that they wanted us to stop and polish what we have before we do 1.0, and that's something we take quite seriously. And similarly, what we found since we've launched early access titles is that we can plow hundreds of hours into updates, and we can spend tens of thousands on them. We can spend hundreds of hours on them, and then we don't increase the player base, and we don't increase the score of the game. Like the satisfaction rating doesn't increase or decrease, and the player base doesn't increase. So we are at an impasse where we're like, well, what do we do? How do we actually push an update and it has a positive effect on the game permanently, rather than basically being dab squib? So um, that's why we're basically reorientating how we do things so that we have more of an impact um, for players, a positive impact for the game, permanent positive impact, and we increase our chances of growing the game, right? Because that's ultimately what we have to do. We have to make the game more popular. We want it to grow. So that has taken us back to the drawing board, really, because we can push updates and push updates and push updates, but we now have a fairly strong set of evidence that just pushing updates doesn't actually help us grow the game. So we need to work out how we push updates that really matter and really push the satisfaction up for players current and new, so we can basically grow the game. So I think it's probably a good point to push back to you, Russell. You've been playing the game for a few days now.
Yeah.
You are not used to playing these kind of games, which I think is interesting.
No, this is actually the first automation type game I've ever played.
Yeah, yeah, and before everyone, freaks out. I have tasked Russell with playing all the other automation games like Satisfactory, and I'll be forcing him against his will to play all automation games so he understands what we're actually working with.
I have plenty of homework.
Yeah. So don't worry, he won't be making this game totally blind to what's out there and where the bar is. So yeah, but I'll pass it over to you, Russell, and um, be good with the language, but also feel free to share the list of criticisms you have that you've acquired.
Yeah, I think generally a lot of the problems with the game stem from UI and UX experiences. There seems to be a bit of a lack of motivation from what I've seen in the community and responses from people who I've asked who've played the game.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of that can be solved with just a bit more game immersion, a bit more of a storytelling aspect, and encouraging the player to kind of explore the level, finding new places, seeing what kind of events have led to the death of the planet. And I think through like exploration and a bit more motivation to play the game, I think people can get a lot more attached and generally motivated to heal the planet.
Yeah. Yes, interesting. Yeah, it's interesting you say that because on our list of things to do, we did have a lot of things where we're like, oh, let's go send them on this effectively a side mission, right? And then we obviously launched the game. We had Monolith 1, and we wanted to add things to that, but like we for JunkPunk specifically, we self-financed, so obviously I paid for the whole thing, and we had to basically draw a line in the sand as to where we're going to launch, and then we got to Monolith 2. And all of that was received quite well, but again, we're not actually the people that love automation games and people that can get past some of the things that we need to improve on seem to have a very good time. But obviously, I think you're right. We need to add more. When we did the player update and when we did the vehicles update and stuff like that, people were hyped. It just depends again what we and we can get some of this from the community feedback that we have that you've been speaking to people about. But what I think we should definitely do over the coming weeks is gather information on what people want to see added that would be really effective. I think that would be good.
Yeah, I agree.
We know we obviously want to make Monolith 3. Like that's obviously coming, and I've spoken to Russell about what's going in there, and Russell will be doing most of the heavy lifting on making that with my direction, and then I think we need to. We know. Well, I think we know Monolith 1 and 2 people enjoyed, and Monolith 3 people want to play it. But what we need to do in order to, and we discussed this before we did a recording, is we need to understand what is stopping the game from essentially going up and people enjoying it more, right? So I think that's what we need to gather. What were your thoughts so far, apart from what you said earlier? What would you say, top of your head, you would add?
I think
I'll let you add.
Like as like a new monolith comes out, I think like a new kind of tier of buildings and items should probably come with it. Just like general improvements to progression and just introducing new content to the game.
Yeah. So that does come with every monolith. We haven't been through that yet, but there is a whole other tier of machines and items coming. But that comes with every monolith. I think what I also want to do is what you said the other day, Russell, about adding more towns and adding more lore. I think that's very important to add that. And also another discussion that before I go on any more about that, what's your take on adding more like villages and towns and more lore to the game? Because I know you're quite hyped for adding that.
Yeah. I think a big thing to impact kind of player engagement and immersion would be to like really kind of showcase how this used to be a industrial planet and now it's just like one big kind of graveyard. You know, there's like you can visibly see like homes, maybe like a shopping center, some just stuff like that have just kind of been left abandoned, and you can walk around and see. You know, it's like a big metaphor for normal day climate change, right? So
yeah, sure. Yeah.
You got to kind of it's got to be like a little bit almost kind of like a big ghost town in a way.
Yeah, I agree. I think what we should do is we should definitely integrate that with. So the island that I designed initially was essentially like a science island where, there was. I guess you could almost call it like the Manhattan Project, where it's like they're going to build a whole town and a whole place just to
Yeah.
do this one objective. So I think we should find a balance there because it would be a bit weird to have like an office block next to a giant Earth-changing machine.
Okay. Yeah, I was just spitballing, but yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't actually know it was supposed to be like a Manhattan Island. I quite like that, and that also kind of, it clears up some ideas in my head a bit as well.
Yeah, just because I was thinking like, imagine if, yeah, like with Monolith One, if you turn that on and there was actually residential buildings nearby,
Yeah, that's true actually.
it would just be like everyone's died basically. So yeah, I think what we'll lean into is this. I totally agree with you. We should add more to it, but we should keep it like an island where it has got a population. Still, it can be like 1,000 people or whatever. Which would
Even if
still,
it's just like it's like housing all the scientists and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah. So it would still require, all the amenities like shops and stuff. Um, I think that would be good because we can still add that in. It still has a purpose, right? And with every monolith, what I did want to do, what I did with monolith 2 was I put in the monolith 1 science lab. So you can go and see the construction of monolith 1. So what might be quite cool is if we lean into stuff like that, and also Russell is gonna have a look at the lore as well because obviously I wrote some of it, but it's a bit patchy. So I'm gonna ask him to have a look at that and see if we can patch it up as well, and we can go back and forth on that. Anything else you think you can think about? I mean, there's loads of stuff in there.
Yeah, I mean,
unpack, to be honest.
I think it's just like a general sphere of added content in kind of all different kind of areas of game design.
Yeah, I think definitely the one thing. So this is a really strange thing, and I think maybe we need to, and I might ask you to do this, is just go and speak to a lot of people because I keep asking this question, but then I don't. Maybe I'm just like. I'm just blind to it, but I keep asking people how to improve the UX UI, and then I go and make those improvements, and then we keep getting feedback going, please improve the UX UI, and I'm like, I just thought we did that. Like, I don't understand. So I think maybe I'm going to ask you to go and ask people, and then maybe So then it's like we've got two people, and we can both share that idea, and you've got your own list of stuff that you want to improve, and then I've got a list of stuff I want to improve, and then we've obviously got all the user feedback.
A community list, yeah.
Yeah, and I think if we finally nail down this UX UI thing, then we can actually fix these UX UI things. It's a tricky one, but I'm redoing some of the UI now anyway because I'm not happy with it. But I definitely understand why people don't like the UI, which is why I'm doing it again. But UX is a whole other thing. I think we need to have a chat about at some point. How long we've been? Yeah, nearly 15 minutes. But so I didn't want to do a recording too long for everyone out there because I just wanted to have an update on what's going on with JunkPunk and where we're at. But essentially, yeah, we are just adding more people to the JunkPunk team, specifically Russell. Whether more people come in future, I'm not sure. But now it'll be me, Ed, and Russell and Java. So Russell's going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting and helping us out there. So yeah, that's kind of it from me. Anything else you want to add, Russell?
Yeah, I'm actually quite looking forward to getting to work on this. I think that this game has got a huge amount of potential, and it'd be really nice to add my own kind of creative aspects to it and see how it can.
You know what?
Yeah.
So many people have said to us it's got huge potential, so we know it's there, and we just really want to unlock that. But the one thing we just don't want to do is continually add monolith because the way I see it is we've got 5 monoliths, right? We're about to release monolith 3. Well, we'll announce a date for monolith 3 soon. But once we get to 5, we're done. So I'm kind of like, well, we need to start unlocking the potential. We can't just get to monolith 5 and be like, oh, let's unlock the potential.
Yeah.
So I think now that we're at monolith 1 and 2, we've had a break to basically recollect our thoughts and have a look at the design again, and try and gather why people have certain issues or what the UX UI issues are. Now I think as we go like into 3, 4, and 5, when we expand the game, what I think we need to do is unlock that potential and make sure we don't waste the like. We basically got like 5 bullets in the gun. There are major updates, and what we need to do is make sure that the potential is unlocked at each stage.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another reason why I know everyone's disappointed that these monoliths aren't coming faster. But when you see it from a business perspective, I'm basically like, right, let's plow hundreds of hours and like thousands of pounds or dollars into this update, and then and what I'm certainly not belittling the fact that all of our current players love it, and we are always delivering for the current players anyway. The primary reason we keep updating is for people that have the game and want to play more. But we need to obviously grow it and unlock the potential, and so we're not achieving half of what we need to do. On one half, we everyone that gets an update loves it and they play it and they've already got the game and they're part of the group, and thank you very much for all your continued support. But then on the other half, we are not achieving that kind of attraction or pull into JunkPunk. So it's like, how do we fix that problem? Because we know the people that like these kind of games, we get them in, and they really love it. And then some people have got problems they want fixed, and that's fine. That happens with most games. But we have players playing for over 100 hours, some over 200 hours. So how do we basically get that message out there and unlock that potential so that more people come and enjoy the game?
Yeah, like kind of continuous engagement.
Yeah. And I feel like I could be frank enough with the community that they understand that I mean, it's obvious, right? We have to grow the game as we build the game in order for it to be alive. We can't just work on a game with like a low player base and like no momentum. And this is the kind of double-edged sword, because I know that momentum comes with updates, but similarly, when we're dropping updates, we're not gaining momentum. So it's a really weird place to be in. But I think we're like on this line where we need to. There's some things we need to do that will unlock that key. And we've obviously spoken about that at length, Russell, outside of this. It's almost turning into like a podcast length now, but outside of this conversation, we've obviously discussed that at length. But this is kind of the magic of game design, really. How do we find that perfect mix? I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Agree. It's just about finding the balance between effective and I guess kind of prosperous updates.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, unless you've got anything you want to add, I think I'll probably round it up there, honestly.
Yeah, I think we've covered pretty much everything.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for listening, everyone, and we will be back soon with hopefully a provisional date on Monolith 3, and when that's going to be dropping. But watch out, because Russell's coming for feedback, and at any moment he could just randomly DM you and be like, "Hey, I see you're in Discord here, and I want information." So this is a fair warn. You're gonna get
interrogated.
You're gonna get spam called by Russell and interrogated for feedback. But, thanks everyone, and we'll get back to you soon with a provisional update on JunkPunk and what date that's coming out. Hopefully it'll be worth the wait. I'm saying hopefully. I promise it'll be worth the wait. Now that Russell's on the team, it will be worth the wait. Cool. All right. So I'll see you all later, and thank you everyone for listening, and I'll speak to you soon. Just say bye, Russell.
Goodbye, everyone. I'll probably see you soon as well.
Awesome. Right.